Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going back to look at the Constitution class. And we'll be looking at the Vanity shields available from the Zen store and also from the Dilithium store during certain events of the year. In the description below, you'll find the chapters for each shield, so you can jump about and have a look at the ones you're most interested in. The reason that we're back at the Constitution class is two things. One, I'm trialing a new format for the videos, as we can see. And second off, it's been just shy of a year since I started doing this. So I thought it would be a good ship to use to see if he's like the new approach. It's taken me a bit longer than I'd like to have worked out how to do certain things. I've now been able to apply to these videos. So I hope you sit back and enjoy this one. One other thing to note is due to the animation effect of the Bizarre collectors, they do not change with the Vanity shields, and there is also a slight issue with the nacelle effect overwriting the Vanity shields on some occasions. But apart from that, the ship looks good. It's a classic, and I hope you enjoy the look of it in various shields. So the first shield we look at is the Mutara Alliance Vanity Shield from the Mutara Alliance bundle in the Zen store. This is currently the only shield in the Zen store. So as you can see, we've got this white patterned hull material. We have some touches of grey and some gold there. So zoom in on the deflector, you can see this lovely patterned cyan effect there. We've got some gold shading at the back of it there. So move out, we can see some more of the grey shading there and some more of the gold here at the back of the nacelles. You can see the cyan there on the inner part of the nacelle. And then for the impulse engines, we've got this red through orange, yellow, white, and then back again. Some more cyan lighting here at the rear. And then you can just see those different hues there in this triangular pattern as the light reflects off of the material. So that's part of the Mutara Alliance hull material that's been very nicely replicated onto the Vanity shield by the Hur'q team. It was really nice to see that. And then let's look at the underside. Again, some more grey shading there and more of that white patterned hull material. Some grey there on the neck, and you see more of the grey there on the underside of the nacelles. And then for the engine trails in this one, they're being overwritten by the ship model, unfortunately. So we have the white and orange there. Moving on to the Dilithium store now, and this is a Safe Galaxy Refit Vanity Shield. So we have this grey, almost urban camouflage kind of pattern to the hull material. You can see it's got the lighter and the darker greys there. We've got a bit of gold there on the top and bottom of the saucer. Then we have this golden patterned deflector array. See the gold there on the nacelles on the interior of them. And we've got that animation effect there for the Bizarre collectors. And then we have the gold there for the impulse engines, and gold here again at the rear at the shuttle bay. So a bit lighter grey here at the end of the nacelles. Got a better view from the top down there. You can see the full extent of that pattern effect on the hull material. And it's the same again here on the underside. And it does obscure the ship registry a bit. And then the engine trails in this one match up lovely with the engine effect from the shield. So we have the yellowish colours there, which work quite nicely. Next up is a very popular shield in the game, and this is the Ba'ul Vanity Shield. So we have this black hull material, and it does cause the nice stripes to pop really nicely in that red against them. And then we've got this patterned cyan deflector here with the circles. And you can see that red standing out quite nicely against it. And just with it being the darker material, it does obscure the registry number slightly. You can start to see that carved pattern there on the hull material. And then we have this lovely red there for the impulse engines. On this particular model, we've got white there for the nacelle colouring. It's normally a cyan blue. We do have that cyan blue there at the shuttle bay. Again, as the light's hitting it, you do see more of that carved detail within the hull material. The underside's more of the same. Again, you see that carved detail there. Again, all that red just standing nicely against the black. The engine trails in this one do marry up with the effect that the shield is putting on, so the white and the red. Next up, we're looking at the Borg Vanity Shield. So this one gives your vessel the look of a liberated Borg vessel and not actual Borg cube. Bit confusing, does need to be renamed. So we have this grey patterned hull material made up of hull plates of various shapes and sizes. We have this lovely blue patterned deflector array. That's probably one of my favourite deflector arrays effects from any of the Vanity shields. And we can see I've got this blue orbs as the nacelle colouring. And we've got the blue there for the impulse engines. And some more blue lighting here at the shuttle bay. And you see a better view of that nacelle colouring there. Then on the end of nacelles, I've got this black conduit material with this blue lighting effect. You can see it on the inside of the nacelle there as well. And get a better view from the top down there. Again, that full pattern of the various shapes and sizes of hull plates there. Again, we're the same here on the underside. Some more of the blue lighting there. Now, this particular shield has no engine visuals, which is why we see no engine trails. Next up is the Courier Raider Vanity Shield. This is one of the older shields in the game, and not to be confused with the new green Courier Raider Vanity Shield. So for the hull material in this one, we've almost got this bare metal kind of colouring and effect to it. I do forewarn you, it does get a bit bright in the sunlight. So you can see with this very bright white deflector with the broken up circles and touches of black in there, believe it or not. You touch black shading there at the front of the secondary hull. See it down the pylons as well. And we had the white there for the nacelle colouring. White here for the impulse engines as well. There's that bright white. It's got this bright white lighting effect here at the shuttle bay with some more of the black shading. And slight touches of the black as well at the rear of the nacelles. And you can see it's already getting a bit bright as the light's reflecting off the hull material. And there goes the blinding effect. Right on cue. You can see the black there on the fins of the nacelle. And the same here on the underside. Thankfully the light's not hitting it quite as hard as normal, so it's not reflecting as much. Now the engine trails in this one, you can see that white flame effect there from the impulse engines, although we do have the red impulse engine trail unfortunately, but white nacelle ones. Here we have the Discovery Vanity Shield. So this Vanity Shield has two different visual appearances depending on your faction alignment. So for Federation aligned, you get the appearance of Starfleet vessels in Season 1 of Discovery. So we have this two-tone patterned grey hull material. This white deflector array with the blue spokes on it. You can see that blue there on the lower dome. Get a better view of the pattern on the hull there as we're moving around. You see white there for the nacelle colouring. Again, just coming back into view there, and it's got a blue honeycomb on it. And then we have the red honeycomb there for the impulse engines. Quite a good view of the blue honeycomb there on the nacelles. Bit smoother grey there at the end of the nacelles. And you get quite a nice view of the pattern there on the saucer. And more of that pattern hull material there on the underside with some touches of the smooth grey as well. Engine trail wise, we are all white on this one. So it doesn't quite tie up with the impulse engines, unfortunately. This is the Discovery Vanity Shield on a Klingon Line character. So straight away we can see this patterned brown hull material. It's supposed to represent what they tried to pass off as Klingons in Discovery, their vessels. It does have a very nice patterned deflector there, so we've got the orange, yellow and white. And you can see some of that there in the lower dome also. Now the nacelle pattern on this one's that almost half clam red and white. And this yellow and white pattern there for the impulse engines. And you can see quite a lot of the detail that the art team's put in on that hull material. And you can just about make out the registry number. And the same here on the underside, just more of that brown patterned hull material. Some very intricate designs within that as well. And then again, we've got the all white engine trails for this one as well. This is the Discovery Refit Vanity Shield. So we've got a darker grey hull material compared to the other Discovery Vanity Shield. This one only has one visual appearance regardless of what faction you're on. The deflector array in this one, as you can see, we've got a broken circle with the blue on the outside, and then we have an inner white there with the blue surround and spokes on it. See the blue and white there on the lower dome. And we see the white there with a hint of blue to it for the nacelle colouring. Then we have the red there for the impulse engines, and more of that blue and white on the dome at the shuttle bay. You make out the honeycomb pattern there within the nacelle colouring. Looking down, especially near the front of the saucer there, you can see almost scars within the hull material. So just a nice bit of detail there from the art team. And you can see it again at the front of the saucer there as we look at the underside. And we've got the red impulse engines there and the bluish white for the nacelle trails, so marries up quite nicely to the effects the shield's applying. Here we have the emerald chain, insert excessively long shield name here, Vanity Shield. So again, we've got a nice brown patterned hull material. Quite a few different shapes within the pattern on the nacelles and the saucer there. Then we've got what I'd call a dirty white colouring for the deflector, so you can see the grey and the dull white there. Same for the lower dome. Now as we're moving round in the far nacelle there, similar colouring again. And again, that pattern. Then we've got that texture pattern there at the end of the nacelle. Got the same colouring for the nacelles and the deflector there that was being applied to the impulse engines. And you can see the honeycomb pattern there on the nacelle. And get a better view of that texture pattern there at the end of the nacelles as well. And we see the full extent of that pattern on the saucer there, even with the grooves as well. It's very similar there on the underside. Quite a lot of detail there within that pattern that the art team's done. And then we've got the standard Starship applied engine effects there, so it's not been overwritten by the Vanity Shield. Here we have the Emperor's Vanity Shield. We've got this nice grey hull material. And just here at the nacelle there, and there's bits on the saucer as well you might be able to make out. We've got a blue dot illuminated pattern That is throughout the entire hull material. You can see it as we move in closer to the hull. With this lovely orange patterned deflector array. And then got the yellow dome there on the underside. We have the orange there for the nacelle colouring. And there's some of that illuminated blue dots and dashes just visible there and on the secondary hull. And again on the nacelles. A touchy purple shading at the end of the nacelles there. With this bright cyan impulse engine effect. That blue dot illumination does generate kind of a starfield effect when looked at it in the shade. I've got the orange there on the bridge dome, same at the rear next to the shuttle bay. And more of that grey hull material there on the underside. So we have the cyan impulse engine trail there and white from the nacelles, so the ship's normal engines are still coming through the shield there on this particular model. If you've ever wondered what would happen to your starship if you don't pay your Ferengi repair bill, this is it. So here's the Ferengi Vanity shield. So we have this orange hull material that we're used to seeing on the vessels in the TV shows. You can see the rivet detail on the saucer and the nacelles. Then we've got this patterned yellow deflector array with some touches of grey round about it. And then that lighter yellow there on the lower dome, and we can see that on the nacelle at the back there. So moving round, more of that rivet detail there on the nacelle, and a bit of gold shading there at the rear. Then we have the yellow for the impulse engines, yellow illuminated dome at the rear at the shuttle bay, and some more touches of grey shading as well. You can see that rivet detail there on the saucer. And you see that grey surround on the deflector there. Underside, more of the orange hull material, more touches of the gold and more rivet details as well. So engine trail wise, we've got the yellow there from the impulse engine, but the warp nacelle are still being overwritten by the ship model. This is the Hur'q Vanity shield. So we've got this green hull material. We can see some of this illuminated pattern material there at the rear of the nacelles. And just at the back of the Bassard collectors as well. Now we've got this lovely green patterned deflector array there. The green for the lower dome. We can see the green on the nacelles as well as we're moving round. See a bit of a pattern there just at the back of the Bassard collectors. And we have green there for the impulse engines, and more of that illuminated green pattern material on the shuttle bay door. Touch of brown shading there at the rear of the saucer. Bit of a texture pattern there. You can see on the lower side of the nacelles, more of the brown as well. Then that green hull material. Engine trail wise, we have yellow and white. Again, the ship model is overriding some of them, and the Vanity Shield impulse engine is not quite 100% on this one as well, unfortunately. Next up, it's the Kelvin Divergence Vanity Shield. So, like the Discovery one, this does have two different visual appearances depending on your faction alignment. Federation aligned gets the look of the Federation ships in the reboot films. So we've got a grey hull material. Then we've got this patterned blue deflector, which is meant to replicate that of the Enterprise in the reboot films. Then we've got the semicircle blue and white there for the nacelles on this particular model. Thankfully, we don't have to put up with the awful Bassard Collector effect from this shield due to the animation effect of the Bassard Collectors. And we have this orange patterned impulse engine effect. Got the blue and white there on the dome at the shuttle bay. The underside's just the same grey hull material. And for the engine trails, we've got the white and orange there, so it does kind of marry up with what's been applied. Here we have the Kelvin Divergence Vanity Shield on a Klingon aligned character. So we've got this green hull material. It's got a bit of a pattern effect to it. And there's a couple of different shades of green that we'll see as we go around the ship. An extremely lovely red deflector there with a nice pattern to it. It's one of my favourite deflector effects in the game. And with that blue honeycomb lighting there on the lower dome. Now on this particular model, the nacelles seem to be greyed out, which is not the normal effect for this shield, but this model is kind of unique. Then we have the red there with the honeycomb pattern for the impulse engines, and that blue and grey honeycomb pattern there on the dome at the shuttle bay, and that is the normal nacelle colouring as well on this particular shield. And we can see the different shades of green there in the hull material. Especially there at the back of the nacelles. Some touches of yellow illumination there at the back of the saucer. And the underside again, just some different shades of green there. And then we have the grey in the circles leading to the lower dome. So we've got the correct effect for the impulse engines there. But again, the nacelles are being overwritten by the ship model itself and not the Vanity Shield, unfortunately. Here we have the Prodigy Vanity Shield, and I will learn how to pronounce that word correctly one day, I do promise. This is becoming one of my favourite shields in the game purely because of that lovely grey that's been applied to the hull material. There's a bit of a pattern to it as well, with this very bright orange, yellow and white effect there with the deflector. And then we've got the blue there for the lower dome. You can see that's blue and white effect there. It's been applied to the nacelle as we move round. Quite a bit of pattern detail there on the nacelle itself, especially towards the rear. Then we have the red there for the impulse engines, and that blue illumination there on the dome near the shuttle bay. And you see that blue and white effect there of the nacelle. Some nice detail there on the fins of the nacelle as well. Underside, more of that nice grey hull material. Couple of different shades to it and a bit of a pattern there. And then the engine trails are correct, so we've got the blue and white there for the nacelle and the red there for the impulse. So that's quite nice to see. Next up is another very popular shield in the game, and this is the Section 31 Vanity Shield. Quite a dark grey hull material. It's got a bit of a pattern effect to it and a couple of different shades as well. The Bassard collectors are normally blacked out on this shield, but again, due to the animation effect, we don't see that unfortunately. With this lovely cyan patterned deflector array there. Very similar to that of the Discovery Refit one. Got the cyan there in the lower dome. You can see that box pattern there on the hull material as we look at around the edge of the saucer. Some of the stripe material there at the back of the nacelles. And the nacelle colour itself is actually blacked out. With the red honeycomb there for the impulse engines. Then that quite bright cyan blue there at the shuttle bay. And you can see the different shades there, and the pattern there on the nacelle as well. And you can see the pattern to the hull material there, different shades on the underside. The red does stand out quite nice against it as well. And the engine trails do match up fairly close, the blue and the red there. Here we have the Shrike Vanity Shield. That's rusty orange colour for the hull material. It's meant to replicate the appearance of the Shrike in Season 3 of Picard. Deflector, what you always want in your starship, a massive target right on the front there. So we've got the red and yellow, giving that target kind of pattern as the circles shrink. We have orange there on the lower dome, and see the orange and white there on the nacelle as well as we rotate round. Touch of lighter greys there at the rear of the nacelle. And we have this light orange and red pattern for the impulse engines. And more of that orange there at the shuttle bay. Touches of grey there at the back of the Basard collectors as well. And a touch of burgundy there at the back of the saucer. Underside, more of that rusty orange colour and some of that burgundy shading as well. Same at the bottom of the nacelles. Engine trails, we have yellow there being applied for the impulse engines, and then we've got this reddish white there for the nacelle trail. Here we have the Tzenkethi Vanity shield. So we've got this green hull material, and you can see the carved pattern there on the saucer and the nacelles. We also have this illuminated panel pattern, just here at the Basard collector, again at the rear, and you can see some of it pulsating. We have this lovely warm orange and yellow deflector pattern there, and again more of that pulsating panel lighting material can be seen at the front. You can see the white there of the dome, the underside. The nacelles are normally white, but on this model we've got the warm orange effect that we have on the deflector. Got the white there for the impulse engines, and with the dome there at the rear. Then we have that panel lighting effect on the shuttle bay itself, again with the pulsating lights. Touch of black shading there on the rear of the nacelles. Same at the back of the saucer there, and then we can see that carved pattern and quite nice detail. And the same here on the underside, with more of that panel lighting effect there on the circles leading to the lower module. And then the engine trails match up lovely, all white, as it would normally be. The last shield we'll be looking at is the Zhat Vash Vanity Shield, or the Army Camouflage as I've been known to call it. Now it's purely because we've got this sandy brown and olive green patterned hull material, which does look quite nice. And we have this lovely green pattern illuminated deflector there, and some of the green and white lighting on the lower dome. We have red being applied there for the nacelle colouring. Then we have the red there for the impulse engines, and that green and white dome there at the shuttle bay. Quite an interesting pattern being applied on this particular model with the two-tone hull material. More of that two-tone hull material again on the underside. And the engine trails in this one are just the one from the ship model itself. And that concludes our video on the Constitution class. So thank you all very much for watching. If you've seen the original Constitution video that I did, I think you'll agree there's been a dramatic change in approach over the last 9-10 months that I've been doing this, and I do hope you have thoroughly enjoyed it. In the description, also we have quite a few links in there. I have my X and Blue Sky account, my Twitch channels in there as well. I've also got my Real Merch affiliate link, which will give you 5% off your first order using the code, and that does stack with any sales that Real Merch have on. I've also got links to the STO wiki and the main Star Trek Online news blog, and I will eventually get round to adding in the link to the official Discord as well, but you can reach that through the news blogs in the interim. For other content, we've got quite a few fellow content creators listed there. So we've got Casual Sab, we've got Nick NB, we've got MC Stu, we have the Mutara Alliance, we've got Thornburg Media as well. So if you haven't checked any of them out, please do so. Drop them a like, a follow, a sub on whatever platform you're viewing. It helps them out and we'll help each other out. And that is us for this video. So thanks again for watching. Stay tuned to the channel as we have hit one of the milestones in YouTube. So there will be an announcement going up on the channel sometime probably before September 2025. Now until the next video or the next live stream, see you all around.